just recording for your safety and protection and for mine.
Yeah, sure.
Could you just identify yourselves if that's all right?
Yeah, I'm PC 2705 Steve Mellor of West Mercia Police at Bridge North.
And I'm CSO Shelley Hyde, collar 6413 from Bridge North.
Right, okay. Can you explain to me why you're here today, if that's all right?
Yeah, so we've just had some intel that there may be a protest planned, so we just want to know if you can let us know some details, what's going to be happening.
Right, okay. Well, basically, I'm not sure if you're aware, but obviously the government have entered into another illegal lockdown, which is obviously violating international law and human rights.
Okay.
And basically, the police are basically, I'm not sure if you're aware, but across the country, they've been basically used to remove people's civil rights and to stop people from expressing themselves freely.
Okay.
Basically, we understand under the Coronavirus Act that actually educational meetings are actually permitted under the legislation. That if the meetings are for educational purposes, which is what I'm seeking to do, is to educate people about what's happening, about the lockdown and the effect that it's having on society in terms of the amount of damage it's done to business, also education, and also the stress that it's put onto the police force, who are actually struggling to deal with their jobs before the lockdown as it is. What we want to do is obviously represent the interests of public servants as well on Saturday. So that's what we're seeking to do from a socially distanced perspective. Not that I would agree that there's a scientific basis for social distancing, but obviously in groups of 2 and 4, I also understand are actually permitted when distance appropriately for educational purposes. So that's what we're seeking to do, basically, is just to sort of get information out there to people that's not necessarily in the mainstream eye or in the mainstream news. Yesterday we were down in London. There was an anonymous, we're doing a march down in London, basically, and the police were very heavy-handed and aggressive with people. The tactical support group were going in there and violently sort of throwing people to the ground. So obviously we're quite concerned for our freedom of speech and our basic civil rights, and we're concerned as to whether the police are going to protect those things. Obviously we understand the police to be public servants to protect the sovereignty of this nation, and we also understand that we're sovereign beings, and we would cordially invite the police to protect our civil rights and our civil liberties and make sure that they're able to be expressed in a safe and proper manner, which is what we're planning to do. The police have 47 police forces across the country have currently been served notice that we are actually living in a tyrannical government at the moment. The government have actually betrayed the people and have actually turned against the people in terms of removing people's civil liberties, and we're just concerned that the police are being used as a tool to enforce that legislation, which we do not understand. We do not consent to that legislation under common law. We consider ourselves to be free beings with the reserving the right to be able to express ourselves and disclose information to other members of the public, who hopefully will then be able to make their own decision about what's going on at the moment.
So this educational thing tomorrow?
Yeah.
Is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah.
Whereabouts is that going to be held?
In Shrewsbury.
And whereabouts in Shrewsbury?
Well, it's basically a private group, basically. Sort of we just
not going to be in the public.
We disclose information to members. It could well be in public, but it will not be within the sphere of being too close to other members of the public in an enclosed space where there could potentially be a risk. Now, a lot of the science that we've looked at and the information we've put out there does actually state that social distancing is unscientific, and being close to people isn't actually a risk. I'm sure yourselves, if you believe that there was a significant risk being close to people, you wouldn't come in, you wouldn't be in this space with me right now. Obviously we're within 2 meters range of each other right now, so obviously even with masks on, obviously, like if you thought I had a deadly virus, you wouldn't really want to come within in even in a room with me, would you? If you thought that there could be a chance.
We've still got a job to do, and we've got a duty.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but what we have actually seen down in London yesterday is the police breaking social distancing rules left, right, and centre. And obviously, you know, if there was a significant risk, then obviously I wouldn't really want to be stood right next to you. Some people suggest that, you know, we're selfish and we don't care about infecting other people. That's absolute nonsense. What we've done is we've looked at alternative science that is being put out there by world leading experts, you know, who say that there's no risk at all, and that the virus, as it were, was actually gone several months ago. And this includes studies from Oxford University.
So where's this going to be tomorrow then?
In Shrewsbury.
You can't tell us any more than that.
Well, basically, the problem is that we've done meetings before, you know, where we've actually said to the police, you know, do you mind, you know, if in this location, you know, we gather to disseminate information. We've actually been denied permission by senior police. We're personally, unfortunately, not judging yourselves. I haven't really met you before,
No, I've never
but in terms of the actual police force itself, just 2 weeks ago, we were shopping in Asda in Shrewsbury. We were harassed and discriminated by the staff, which is an offence under the 2010 Equality Act, which is finable up to £9,000. We were harassed by the security, by the management, and then by the police. The police came into the store. They harassed us. They were talking. We've got it on film. We were talking to the police for 15 minutes. I then said, at which point, are we free to go? The police said yes. And then as we left the store, the police were waiting outside, and they then said, Mr. Parker, we've been instructed by your superiors that you're going to be sent a fine. I've actually been sent a fine in the post. I've got a load of paperwork there from the police saying that I'm being fined for not wearing a mask. I'm actually exempt from wearing a mask, and the police know this. 2 weeks before that, Sergeant Pindora came to my house, just like you guys have, which I must admit, you know, there's elderly, old age pensioners that are living here who are actually quite intimidated by the police presence here. There's been no prior contact to wanting to get in touch with me, when the police have got other ways they can get in touch with me, which they haven't explored, you know. And obviously it's a concern for the other residents of this premises who actually feel harassed and bothered by just your presence, and also other members of the public are also you know, bothered by the police presence here. So that is an issue. In terms of the fines that we've received, obviously completely unlawful. In relation to where we're going with this, is that I don't really feel we don't really feel protected or supported by the police. Unfortunately, in this situation, we actually feel attacked and violated by the police, not just by myself, but other vulnerable members who've been affected. What I'm saying is basically, you know, if the police are seeking to, you know, attack us or remove our civil liberties, then it's our interest to document that, to form evidence for that, and also to provide the police notification of what's happening at the moment with the government, which is what we've done. So we would like to hope that, you know, that the police support us in doing that in a safe and proper way. Like I say, unfortunately, in the past we haven't had such support. From the police.
Would you like to tell us where and when you're going to be?
Well, yeah, basically, we're going to be in Shrewsbury. Basically, you know.
Are you able to tell us any more?
Well, basically the fine details of that is obviously disclosed amongst members. Obviously, you know, we have announced it. We have basically. Is that on an open forum or is it a closed forum? It's in a closed group. The information, basically, like I said, you know, the police are welcome to the information we've got about what we're doing.
Okay.
I've also like to make it clear, you know,
what would be your preferred way of us getting in contact with you to get that information then?
Right, well, but basically we intend to sort of go about what we're doing as a private group in a safe and proper manner without putting at risk ourselves or any other members of the public.
You were saying about us coming round and being intimidating. We don't want to intimidate you.
Yeah.
That's not what we're here for at all.
Right.
So what would be your preferred way for us to get into contact with you?
Right,
Have
well,
you got an email,
just talking to me face to face like we are now.
Okay, yeah.
Well, So obviously in terms of what we're planning.
Would you prefer if we gave you a phone call beforehand to say that we were coming round, or is it okay to turn up and knock on the door?
I'd prefer it if you didn't turn up and knock on the door here. You know, I can provide you with an email contact which the police have already got.
Yeah,
I can write that down
yeah.
for you again if you wish to make.
If we already got it, because if we have, then it will be in the system somewhere.
No, well,
Actually, no, I'll write it down.
yeah. I'm after this conversation, I'm happy to write that down for you. So
I don't wanna cause you
so you've got a line of contact. I don't want to cause you any hassle. What I do also gather is that unfortunately other members of the public who have said that we're a risk and we're a threat have called the police on numerous occasions and wasted police time accusing us of spreading the virus. They've got no evidence for that whatsoever. They're merely speculating and unfortunately wasting your time when you could have been dealing with, you know, a domestic violence situation or something. So exactly, you know, so you don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste your time. I just think it's important to communicate what we're doing, what we're about. It's all above board in terms of common law. You know, we're not hurting anyone. We're not stealing anything from anybody. We're not putting anyone else at risk. All we're doing is gathering in an open forum in person with the correct distancing situation appropriated. Unfortunately, we've actually gone into another lockdown from a lawful point of view. Not in terms of common law, but in terms of the government legislation, that the police are being instructed, you know, to not permit people to get together at all. This includes religious gatherings. In Wales, we've seen police turn up at churches and stop church services. You know,
we've gone off on a bit of a tangent here.
Well, I'm just giving you an example, you know, of why it might be an issue.
Yeah,
if I say, oh well, we're going to be at this place.
Yeah.
At this time, my concern would be that the police may well turn up at that location and use undue force and possibly make an arrest against the consent of any of our members, which would obviously be a violation of international law. That's my concern. That's why I'm just explaining the surrounding circumstance.
Would you be happy if we were to contact you in the correct way, in a way that is acceptable by yourself, to share where that's going to be tomorrow?
But basically, unfortunately, you know, I can't guarantee that location can be disclosed because it may well change.
Okay.
See what I mean? So if you send me an email, you know, and I say, oh yeah, well, we're going to be meeting at the college or whatever, you know, and you know we're meeting somewhere else, then obviously I'd be lying and I wouldn't want to do that and waste your time.
Would there be anyone else that might be aware of where it's going to be, that we could get in contact?
I can't honestly say that. I mean, you know, like I say, I can't take responsibility for other people's actions. In this time of great duress that we're in these times at the moment, you know, obviously it's down to the responsibilities of individuals of how they deem appropriate they wish to deal with the situation that we're in. I can't actually currently take responsibility for them. I can only take responsibility for myself, and all I can say is that I can tell you that tomorrow I do intend to be in Shrewsbury in a safe and proper manner under common law, to you know, disseminate information which I believe to be accurate to other members or anyone else that wishes to take an interest in that within the safe and proper method.
Okay, brilliant.
So yeah,
Cool.
is there anything else I can help you with? Or
after you've done that, I'll get your email address and I'll get someone to email you.
right, okay, no problem. All right.